Pixar Animation Studios. They're one of the best. They remain a ray of hope in an industry that's swamped by Illumination garbage, Sony animation garbage with the one exception. No one else is doing the stuff they're doing. But I wouldn't say a Pixar movie was ever bad until 2011.
Cars 2 made me ask too many questions about life and how it functions. Cars 2 has cars dying in it. Within the first few minutes of the movie, even. Cars 2 kills cars. Frequently. Never have I had to contemplate car mortality.
I mean, I don't understand what happened. Like, this is directed by John Lasseter. He's like the main Pixar guy. He's the leader of the whole thing. Why is this movie so bad? I only watched it recently, this year. You know, I missed it in theaters. It was the only Pixar film I never watched. And also Cars 3, I guess, because I can't watch Cars 3 without seeing Cars 2. I just saw all the negative reception. And I was like, okay, I get it. It's probably not good, but like, it's Pixar. And then I watched the movie.
This movie it's the first sequel Pixar has done since Toy Story 2. Cars is the first movie that got a sequel since Toy Story 2. And that's pretty insane. And the reason for that is pretty clear. It's not because, Cars is a great franchise with a lot of storytelling potential. It's because they want to sell toys.
Now, Cars 1 was a little bit more grounded when it comes to its movies. Lightning McQueen was a race car. Like, that's his thing. He's a race car. And he has to attend races, and he's very good at his job, but because of that, he's a bit pompous and he's really high and mighty.
A famous guy who finds what he really loves, a family, He learns to bond with people. He makes real connections and realizes that's what he really wants, not fame and fortune. Cars 2 is about being spies. That's it.
The second Cars theme is always be yourself. Unless you're a super secret agent spy, and if you blunder through life as a stupid idiot, things will just correct themselves, even if it means you are actively being a public nuisance.
Yeah, so basically it's not great.
The whole plot is like a kid's TV show that's already bad, but this is one of the particularly bad plots for one of the episodes. You know what I'm talking about? All this cliche garbage that they throw in. Oh, main character overhears their best friend say something mean, and then they get into a fight. Oh, and the best friend leaves and thinks they're never gonna be friends again. Oh, I hope they make up.
No longer is Lightning McQueen the main character. For whatever reason, they decided to cast Mater, the tow truck, as the main character.
They made the comic relief character the main character, and that means there's no comic relief because you can't be relieved when everything is comedy. Also, it's not funny.
Now, Mater the tow truck is an annoying idiot who has absolutely no social awareness and has a bit of trouble reading just the way that things are going on.
Mater stumbles his way into Michael Caine's spy unit, and what do? They don't go like, look at this crappy looking car. He's not a spy.
They take him, and they immediately recruit him into spy work, even though Mater is seemingly perfectly clear that he is not a spy. They just think that he's in deep, deep cover, I guess.
And then Mater goes like, I'm not a spy. Literally, I am not a spy. And then, of course, the spies go, oh, ha, 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 ha. Yep, that's You're very committed to your role. I hate that.
A couple of the questions that Cars 2 makes me ask are, 1, how do cars die? 2, how do cars have sex? 3, how do cars give birth? Like, is it like robots where they just get a package in the mail? But then how do they construct a little baby child car? Do cars grow up? I don't remember seeing a child car ever.
Yeah, cars get blown up, and some cars die in this film. They literally die. They literally explode.
There's a gun market in cars? They put guns in cars. We thought that hedgehogs were enough. But oh no, they learned from Shadow the Hedgehog and decided to put guns in cars too. Oh god, there is a market for firearms within this car universe. And it seems to be doing very well because they're very active spies doing active spy stuff and shooting other cars and causing car deaths.
There's this one particular scene. Lightning McQueen is getting this speech given to him by some guy, I think his sponsor for his racing, whatever. I don't know. So Mater comes over and, he interrupts everything. Oh, because he's an idiot. And Lightning McQueen's angry at him. Oh no, they're gonna get mad. And then the next thing that happens, Mater leaks oil on stage, and you see this this small stream of oil leak down onto the floor, and Lightning's like, oh no, like he's disgusted. He's like, Mater, did you leak oil on stage? And they play this whole thing up as if, because the Cars universe is supposed to be like everything humans would do, but replaced with cars. It's just a normal world. What they're saying is these people are basically 30-year-old men. Just their cars. That's the only real difference in this universe. So they play up this oil leak as Mater peed on the floor. I'm not looking into this deeply. That's definitely what they're going for here. And I just picture okay, so these are 30-year-old guys. Just picture that. What if they were humans in this scenario? One guy just peed on the floor, and everyone's like, oh no, oh that's bad. Is anybody else really creeped out by that? In this kids movie, they just put that in and it's fine? I don't know, man. It's weird.
Lightning McQueen's girlfriend, Sally, who, you know from the first movie, she's the blue car. Well, apparently they're actually now very thoroughly dating, or maybe in a very serious relationship. There seems to be a bit of a time skip between Cars 1 and Cars 2, if you could believe it. Lightning McQueen has this rival who his girlfriend seems to be sexually attracted to, but she is also a car. So, how do cars have sex? I don't know how to answer that question. I don't know why this movie even posed the question to begin with. This movie has a shot where we are first introduced to the female British spy in Mater's storyline, and she's zoomed in on, and there is a sultry reprise of the main theme of the movie. Like we're supposed to believe this car is sexy, which is impossible because it's a car.
One of the main plots also revolves around this guy trying to promote organic oil, and there's one scene that's just like a commercial with him, and you're like, what? That's kind of irrelevant. How is that relevant to what's going on? And then he appears later talking to Lightning on stage, and you're like, oh, well, this guy obviously is important, but he's not a part of the story yet. And then later you see the bad guys get a call from their head bad guy, and they're like, oh, okay, he's the bad guy. You immediately think, oh, that guy who's somehow supposed to be relevant, but they didn't say it, yeah, he's got to be the bad guy. And then, of course, he's the bad guy.
He made the eco-fuel actually just gasoline that exploded whenever you hit it with a very specific electronic pulse, and it kills people. We saw a secret agent car get tortured to literal death by installing this fuel into his tank, and that car died. There's a death count in Cars 2. There's a death count in Cars 2.
But in the twist of the century, it turns out that bad guy, when he was on stage with Mater and Lightning, he was the one who purposely leaked oil to make Mater look bad. Now you do realize that this means, if you put it in a human equivalent context, some guy brought a jar of pee on stage and poured it out and made it look like the guy next to him peed.
Why does he have a mom? Who is his dad? How was he born? Was he born that size? I have no idea.
Oh, stupid. This is a Pixar movie? These guys made Inside Out?
Oh, this hurts so much. How does car racism work? Because car racism exists. In fact, the main plot of this movie seems to revolve around the fact that a certain demographic of cars feel, oppressed, I guess? Oppressed and demeaned? So they move to terrorism to kill others. So prove the point that eco-fuel sucks. If car racing exists, then why is the discriminated party being viewed as the villains? The lemons, as they call themselves, the bad vehicles that are of a lower quality make, I guess? The lower quality make vehicles can convince people to not go to eco-fuel because they're not built for that and go back to gasoline? And then this makes you ask the question, why do cars have lungs? And they bring this up by, at the very beginning of the movie, having the main car spy dive underwater and use an air breather to breathe air. And you look at it and you're like, well, they breathe, I guess. So that means that they have to be conscientious about what they're taking into their body and releasing into the atmosphere. But that means that there are scientist cars who realize that the Earth and global warming is happening. But the problem is the cars eat gasoline. They're built to eat gasoline. So they're living in a world that's doomed to begin with. And if cars, how did cars society happen? Were there tribalistic cars? What is the history of cars? Did they start off in society? What happened? Where are the people? Near the beginning of the movie, they flipped over a gigantic truck cow. I don't understand how they determine which cars are sentient and which cars are not sentient. Oh, it hurts. We're gonna move on.
Cars 3 is essentially the real sequel to Cars, and Cars 2 is some weird spin-off that Pixar likes to think never happened. I watched it immediately after. There is absolutely zero reference to the fact that Cars 2 happened. There is no reference to Cars 2. None of the characters show up. There's not even a one-off joke where they go like, haha, remember that time you were a spy? Nope, nobody mentions it. That's it. But Cars 3 is about like retirement, like growing older, passing on your legacy. It goes back to the emotional, grounded story that we told before, and it was a good movie. Like, I enjoyed it. What happened with Cars 2? I don't get it, man. This is insane. Why did they make Cars 2?
This is from the same people that brought us, Toy Story and Coco, Inside Out, and a lot of really like emotional, deep stories.
Maybe they're not as good as they used to be, but they still come out with some hits. Every now and then you'll get a Brave, which is just like, okay, it's not offensively bad. But man, let's hope we never get a Cars 2, That's it.
10 out of 10.
Don't see it.
Great
Out of
movie.
2,500.